Welcome, everyone, to another edition of US Law Live, US Law's official podcast. I am Michael Judy with the Dysart Taylor firm in Kansas City. And with me today, I have one of my esteemed co-hosts, Jessica Dark from the Pierce Couch firm in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Hello, Jessica.
Hello, Mike. How are you?
I am wonderful, but first of all, how was your Mother's Day?
My Mother's Day was lovely. Thank you for asking. I hope Mary Jane was treated very kindly and spoiled by all her boys. Um,
Always.
we hopped on a plane to LAX and went to the Thunder Lakers game 3 this weekend. The costs just kind of keep going up though when you plan something like that. You're like, well, we need the flights and we need the hotel and we need the tickets. And well, what are we going to do for a whole day in LA when we don't have the game yet? We should probably go to Universal Studios at Hollywood. So every turn, I just kept telling my husband, this is part of my Mother's Day. Thank you. This is for my Mother's Day.
I
So
mean,
really took advantage.
yeah, and NBA games and Disney are both things that are real cheap from what I've heard.
Yeah, no, the accommodations weren't too bad, but the attractions that we enjoyed were a little, I mean, they were worth it. It was totally worth it. It was so much fun. Took the whole family. But what I'm excited for is today, not only am I joined by my one of my favorite hosts, Mike Judy, but we've also got Mike Funk, two Mikes today.
Hello, hello. Thank you guys for having me. Obviously, happy belated Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. I got to spend mine with my beautiful wife and son in Houston. We were actually on a plane flight home from Houston last night. We were down there to see my son's cousin's first Holy Communion. So we got a nice little quick getaway. So most of my travel is for business, as you guys know. I know you guys do a lot of that. So it was nice just to get away for a couple days to do some family stuff.
Nice. And I'm assuming travel was easy, no delays, got in and out of Houston.
Yeah, it's funny because obviously living in Philadelphia where I live, it's a American Airlines port, so I can't remember the last time I flew anything other than American Airlines. So when my wife told me we were flying United and I was in row 36, I don't think I've ever been back there before. So that was a little interesting, but other than that, yeah, no delays. Everything was perfect. My mother-in-law went with me and my wife's sister-in-law and her daughter. So we had a nice little family getaway. So it was great.
Well, and I know all of our listeners at home, many of whom have met you, know you're with American Legal Records, one of US Law's esteemed corporate partners. Tell us about American Legal Records. Give us your I'd say 30-second elevator pitch, but I think we can afford you a few extra minutes, Mike.
Yeah, for sure. So this is our fourth year with U.S. Law. It's pretty amazing just to kind of see year one, not really knowing anybody to be in year four to not only knowing, some of the original people who I've developed really strong relationships with, but certainly in the smaller groups, getting to know some of the future leaders of the network has been awesome. So knowing both sides has been really beneficial to our business. The quick 30-second elevator pitch is we do record retrieval. We're one of the new kids on the block. Our company's actually celebrating our 10th anniversary this year. 10 years of being in business. Sometimes it feels like 2 years, sometimes it feels like 40. So, as any of you firms know who are startup firms or anyone who started a business, it's exciting and terrifying to be where we are 10 years later. It's pretty amazing. So we've grown nationwide now. We're starting to work with a lot of U.S. law firms, but a lot of client partners. We've been able to help out customize programs for them for this service, and it's allowed us to, expand throughout the network, which is great. So to think of year one knowing nobody and continuing to hear the whole pitch of just make friends, and the work will come. It's true. It's been a great partnership for us. The events, as we all know, are spectacular events. Sets up for great camaraderie and networking, and happy to be re-up with U.S. Law for 2 more years. So exciting to see where this goes and see the future of U.S. Law. Like I said, meeting a lot
Yeah.
of these second in charge and the future leadership is exciting stuff because the more people you know, the better off you are.
And would you have ever envisioned that after 10 years that American Legal Records would have had this type of growth and this type of expansion?
Obviously you all have grand hopes when you start something that, we were fortunate and unfortunate a little bit, starting in 2016, the pandemic didn't hit till 2020. Had that happen 2.5 years earlier, and the company, it's hard to get a business off the ground. So we were lucky when the pandemic hit. I think that we were established. We had some brand recognition. We actually stopped selling during the pandemic because we continued to grow just through our client base. And as everyone knows, trying to find people to work during the pandemic was brutal. So there's certainly been bumps along the ride, but I'm proud to be where we're at now. And have the team we've grown. Most of our competitors have been around 40, 50 years. They've all been bought out by private equity, and it's a numbers game for them. It's not a name of customer service anymore. And quite frankly, one of the things we're going to talk about today is every day it gets harder to get records in. The power of a subpoena nowadays is not what it used to be. And, so it's nice to be able to provide a quality product to clients out there and them actually see like, oh wow, you guys can get some results. This isn't, we're kind of trying to redefine our industry because so many of our competitors, unfortunately, I don't talk about directly bad about them, but they made our job a lot easier just because the quality of the product they're putting out there is not what it used to be. And like I said, when private equity gets involved, it's just a numbers game. And you guys as attorneys, you're in the customer service ball game too. We got to make our clients happy on all phases, not only practice law and get good results for them, but they want the customer service aspect of it. They want to know that they have a true partner, have a true relationship. And I don't really call any of my clients. I call them partners. I love the word partner. Every pilot program we started, whether it be year one or this year, has turned into a true partnership for us. And that's really what we preach at American Legal. Give us an opportunity to prove our worth, and I guarantee you'll never look back. So I know you guys see that as attorneys. It's not only about being a good lawyer, it's, being able to make sure your clients are happy and know that they trust you when,
Yeah.
the proverbial, stuff hits the fan. So
So when I hear records retrieval, Mike, I think, medical records, billing records, kind of some of those. What are some types of records that people may not realize American Legal Records can help gather and obtain?
for sure. And this is a funny, I had a client of mine a year ago. I went out to they were doing a whole panel council meeting, and they literally told me I had an hour to speak about record retrieval. And I said, oh gosh, I'm gonna try not to put people to sleep in this hour, but tried to bring up some fun stuff. And you know, eh, it's one of the hardest things to do. You mentioned the big ones: medical records, billing records, imaging, radiology, diagnostic, government records. I hate even saying this because they're a nightmare to get, but we do it and we do it okay. Social Security earnings, Social Security disability. IRS tends to change their mind every 2 years, how you have to go get IRS records. And a lot of the transportation stuff we deal with, VA records are big records. They're hard to get. We're good at getting those. But pretty much any record you can get through a subpoena or authorization, we're able to get our hands on. Another service that we do that we've seen tremendous success recently is medical canvassing. So, that's when you get discovery and plaintiff says they've treated with 3 doctors their entire life. Allow us to do a canvass in canvas areas and find more treatment. We've just got 2 cases for U.S. law clients that we got dismissed because of fraud, because of location. We found a treatment at a pain doctor the day before the date of loss, where this claimant had been treating for the exact same symptoms for multiple years from previous injuries and was thrown out right away. So, the records retrieval is a big piece, but the medical canvassing we've seen a lot of success from lately as well.
Nice. And you, I'm sure, get a lot of, one-off projects say, hey, to your point, we need to medical canvas for this plaintiff or this party or retrieve these records. But you had mentioned a couple of times that you're building programs or partnering with some bigger clients to build stuff out for them. And to the extent you can, you don't have to name names, but What kind of services can American Legal provide on that front?
Yeah, for sure. And it's something we get asked almost every day, Mike and Jessica. Dealing direct with these carrier clients or TPA clients. We all know you guys as attorneys, they want you guys moving the case as fast as possible, trying to settle if it's the right case to settle. So when I first started doing this 16 years ago, six before American Legal at a different company, it was 95% of the cases we handled were cases in litigation. We're working with a defense firm. We're getting records through subpoena. Now, the first question I ask when I reach out to a client contact, what can you do for me in pre-litigation? What can you do for me in unrepresented cases? And we're having tremendous success working with custom programs for, we just, a big US law client, CBCS. We just did a big presentation for them. They wanted their adjusters don't have time to do it. So they want to flip us the authorization and have us get records. Let's face it, if the records aren't coming in, that file gets stale quick, and especially the pre-lit stuff. We had a case for Caesars Entertainment where we got an image of an MRI in on a girl who slipped and fell, and plates and discs everywhere in her arms, and they threw her a settlement that she jumped on right away, and they're like, thank gosh we got this prior to her being represented. Had an attorney saw this, it would have added a zero to it, no doubt, because of the jury would have been sympathetic to see this image pulled up on the screen of plates and disc in the elbow that got destroyed with the slip and fall. So we're about 65-35 right now, 65% the old fashioned, let's get the subpoena, let's this case is in litigation, go into trial, to about 35% now pre-litigated stuff, working with adjusters, working with claims team members to try to get records in a timely fashion to help get that burden off the adjuster's desk. That'll allow them to work the file a little better and hopefully move that case along for them. So that's the first thing I hear when I talk to a client contact. I'm going in thinking, let's work with your defense panel, but now I've changed my pitch a little bit to, hey, we've had so much success customizing these programs for your internal, whether it's your TPA, if it's Sedgwick, if it's Gallagher Bassett, let us take that portion off their desk and let them do what they do better. So, yeah, I've really seen that pivot over the last probably 2 to 3 years. That's become a huge, huge thing. And we have a lot of programs starting with current US law clients that I think the law firms who are part of the networks not only will see us more on the back end, but hopefully see more of our stuff on the front end when they're getting files from
Yeah.
adjusters that American Legal got these records for that client. So I'm pretty sure the network will start to see our name a lot more, just not for one-on-one cases we're working with law firms, but the pre discovery stuff before you guys get your hands on stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, from what you're describing, it's almost akin to a rapid response, whether it's in trucking or retail or something else, that the earlier you can get information, the better. And whether that's to establish a defense and, get out in front of it and know, all right, this plaintiff is treated here, there, wherever else. So you've got that ammunition trying to solve it. Or to your point with the other one you referenced, it's a bad one. We better try to settle it now before they retain counsel. So I think that the more that, those who are listening can use that as just another, tool of let's get this stuff early. I think that's great.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And one thing I say, been doing this 16 years, like I mentioned before, like I've never met a paralegal, legal assistant, adjuster, anyone who's doing what we do who literally says, I love getting records in. It's hard. We make an average of 8 phone calls for every record we get in our door. That's the easy ones that come in on their own to the hard ones. So imagine a paralegal, legal assistant handling however many files are, or an adjuster. We just partnered with a new client who's part of the network, and each adjuster has over 100 claim files. And I can't imagine I mean, trying to get records on that alone is a full-time job, let alone doing what an adjuster needs to do on the case. So between not wanting to do it, it's the last thing they're going to do. So all of a sudden, a file's in 3 months now and they're working the case, but they never sent the authorization out, or they sent the authorization out and never had a chance to follow up. So they're sitting with a claim file with zero records in other than what maybe plaintiff counsel, if they are represented, provided, or whatever the claimant provided. So I definitely, kind of sales pitchy here. It's definitely an area where you can see some strong returns getting records in early on claim files for sure.
And you touched on this earlier, but typically at this point in our little discussion, we like to hear from our guest kind of an interesting topic, whether it's legal or legal adjacent. And you had mentioned, the power of the subpoena. What would you like to bring up for our listeners on that point today?
Yeah, it's I love all my clients who are attorneys, but sometimes no knock on you guys, just because it's something you guys don't do on a regular basis. The power of a subpoena is not what it used to be. Most of these providers have HIM or release of information ROI providers that they use, and they hide behind the subpoena and ask for an authorization. I had an attorney, he's been a client of mine for 10 years, literally tell me he was going to subpoena the IRS. And I said, good luck. I said, they're not going to respond. I said, we have the IRS form filled out that they need to give us those records. It just takes them 6 months to get. He's like, I'm going to schedule a records deposition for the IRS. And I literally laughed at him. He's a friend of mine. And I'm like, the government cares nothing about subpoenas. And I said, most of these providers nowadays don't care about subpoenas. Most of judges won't enforce subpoenas. I have clients who still do it every day, bring motion to compel on these subpoenas. It's just not close to what it used to be years ago. I mean, when I first got into this, yeah, we'd send subpoenas and people would be scared of them. Now it's just not the case. And post-pandemic, I know we mentioned the pandemic a little bit. Post-pandemic, it seems like more release of information providers we deal with and ROI providers. So trying to schedule a records deposition for the custodian of records at Dr. John's office anymore. It's a Fortune 1000 company that has no direct contact, and it just totally, that world has totally evolved over the last 4 years. Just the power of a subpoena, and I just judges enforcing it. I mean, you guys probably have more experience on that than I do, but we provide all these information for our clients to file motions, and they're just not being upheld as much as they used to be. And judges, quite frankly, I don't think care as much as they used to. So, I love educating attorneys, especially friends of mine. Just that's great. I mean, you have a subpoena, but that that doesn't really guarantee you anything anymore, just because of the way of the world, and so many, kind of to expand on that, is we've seen post-pandemic so many of these smaller doctors' offices, whether they just hung up shingle or became part of a bigger network and don't care anymore. I have clients say, well, I know they treated in 2008 at this doctor and I really need those records. And I'm like, well, 2008 is now 18 years ago. Legally, they only have to maintain records for 7 years, 10 in some jurisdictions. So I have attorneys all the time be like, I really need these records from 2008. And I'm like, I'll be brutally honest, there's nothing I can do to help you out. It's too many times we look at 2026 and you think, oh, 2014 wasn't that long ago. Well, that's now 12 years ago. So between what the power of a subpoena is and now all these providers going to electronic records, we're seeing a lot of these facilities have like an instant delete every record after the seventh year in one day because they don't want any potential liability coming back to affect them. So that's things I
Yeah.
deal with every day, talking to attorneys, talking to paralegals is, hey, look, one, the power of a subpoena, and two, if you're looking for stuff much older than 7 years, you're probably not going to find it. And we'll give it a shot, but we're probably not going to get it.
It really is
Well, and
depressing how long ago 2008 was. Are you seeing that kind of same trend in Kansas City, Mike? The trying to get the records, trying to subpoena the records, parties not complying?
I see that a lot. And really, I find that most judges, they don't like discovery disputes. And so, it's a lot of, well, go work it out. I'm not going to rule on this. See what you can figure out. Go work together. And, can you get some records? Sure. But to Mike's point earlier, they are going to just stall and stall and make you file motions and make you fight for it. And by the time it gets to a judge, he or she doesn't want to hear about it. And on your other point too, back to plug the don't wait until a case gets litigated. I mean, Missouri statute of limitations is 5 years. So, I mean, if you don't jump on something fast and you're already up against, 5 years when they file, plus another 6 months of getting, answers and service and discovery out the door and so I mean, it's really important to jump fast. So, I mean, that's something that I'm going to start thinking about because frankly, we've had pretty good success getting the older records. I haven't run in too much into nope, sorry, we deleted them. But if that's becoming a more common practice, all the more important to find that early.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely
five
with
years
the
for every claim?
Yeah. Well, I mean, on your personal injury stuff, yeah, I mean,
Golly, that's
it's
crazy. Ours is
Missouri's
two,
fun.
two
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. That's
And
what
I'll talk,
Kansas is.
and we'll talk to witnesses and they'll be like, I can't remember, that was a year ago or that was 2 years ago. And I'm like, well, usually we don't even get a lawsuit until 2 years later. Then we're gonna do discovery for 2 years. By the time you have a deposition, you're looking at 4 years. So like imagining 5 years before you even
Yeah.
get a lawsuit, that is crazy.
No, I agree. I agree. Missouri is tough in a lot of aspects. The statute of limitations just being one of them.
Sounds tough. Sounds tough.
Yeah.
Thankfully, that stuff
Yeah.
we don't have to deal with. But I do agree with you, Mike. Getting on this stuff, is sooner the better. Definitely the pre-litigated stuff, like we discussed there pretty intensely for a couple minutes. It's super beneficial to get records in a timely fashion early. Being able to have the ability to see, oh man, these records
Yeah.
aren't good, and we could potentially throw them something to get them to go away before they get represented is priceless. They're the
Yeah.
times you save a zero on a case. And that can add up quick when you do it that. And that's
Yeah.
Caesar's Entertainment literally told me like you could do the rest of the work for the next 10 years while I'm here, and we're still going to be on the plus side because of this
Right.
one thing you did for us. And I know not a lot of our clients look at it that way sometimes, but you have to keep friendly reminder that hey, for every bad result, there's going to be that one good one that really
Right.
helped across the board.
And the one thing I run into a lot, and I know our paralegals and assistants do is, and you brought this up a little bit earlier with whether it's a doctor's office or a provider, whomever else, they seem to be getting acquired, and trying to navigate where do I send this request? Well, you sent
Yep,
it to the wrong department. It should have gone to this one. All right, well, you forward it. Nope, you have to start over.
yep.
And it seems like by the time you get a response 2 or 3 months later, you're told, well, that was the wrong department, start over. So I'm assuming, again, giving you another little shameless plug, that that's something you've all worked out with the different providers, the conglomerates, is you know where to go right now. You don't have to delay. It's not guesswork.
Yeah, for sure. And we have a proprietary system that we developed 4 years ago. We keep doing enhancements on that. And, I know we haven't mentioned a buzzword in our industry right now, AI, because unfortunately, AI doesn't play a huge role in what we do. I mean, we are a glorified call center getting people on the phones, but we've utilized AI to help us internally and make us much more efficient company. And we have all kinds of internal notes on different things, but if we don't know about it, we're going to do that legwork for you. So again, that paralegal wasting an hour of their time, 2 hours of their time to figure out where it's going to go, or even just us getting it in the hands at first, we'll get that rejection. We'll deal with it. So yeah, there's a lot of little stuff that you think that happens on a daily basis that we can handle. And let it be known that if my team can't figure out where it needs to go, you're probably not going to find where it needs to go. So we're going to exhaust all avenues before reaching out. And we have one in New York right now. I'm dealing with a client. They're closed. We've tried everything we could do to find where we could get these records. We've spent a lot of time on this one case, and we're not going to be able to get those records. And the client's still pushing me, and I'm like, here's everything we did. I sent them literally like every rabbit hole we went down, and I said, if you have other suggestions, please. But like we've exhausted all avenues. It's just this has been closed for years. There's no trail. Like there's no registered agent anymore in New York for them. Like there's nothing we can do about it. But this is everything we did to try to get this record for you. So let it be known that I have a very diligent team behind me, and we're going to do all that busy work. We're going to do that stuff for you guys. So again, making that paralegal's life a little easier, legal assistant, subpoena clerk, whatever you guys call whoever does that for you. That's definitely something we can handle for you. And it is a daily problem. And one other kind of side note is something we see unfortunately now more every day is no record statements. We have to believe that if they're signing off on an affidavit of no records, a legal document, that they're accurate. So we go back to facilities almost on a daily basis for clients where they have, a proof of treatment from opposing counsel or something that says, and it's amazing how convenient, when they find, when we send that proof that they find something. So I can only imagine a legal assistant who gets a no record in and so busy that they're not going to do that extra step
Right.
to do it. So stuff like that. And we unfortunately happens all the time nowadays. But we will go back to the facility and be like, hey, opposing counsel sent this one page of records that has Dr. Mike Judy's name on it. They saw Mike Judy 6 years ago, so it's not 14 years ago. I know these aren't destroyed. You need to tell me why you can't come up with this or produce those records. So that is a common trend we're seeing right now. It's only about 5% of the records we get in are no record statements. So it's not like it's huge, but probably of the 5% we get in, 2%, probably about 20% of the 5% we get in are false. So we'll go
Right.
back to them and say, hey, look, most of the time when it is a no record statement, it becomes an issue of what we just discussed, the 7 or 10 year frame. And a lot of times they'll put that on the, no record statement. Hey, yes, this person's in our system, but we have no records because the last data treatment was 12 years ago. So I mean, we do see that, but that is a service that we offer that I think is huge to our clients because they're probably the records you want anytime a provider is being a little shady. You know that there's probably going to be, records that you want.
Well,
Well,
it's
Mike, yep, so go ahead, Jessica.
no, I was just gonna say, as exciting as record retrieval can be, let's chat more fun stuff. Tell me, what are you doing these days? What are you watching? What are you reading? What are your hobbies?
So people who know me know I travel a lot. I'm on the road usually 21 weeks out of the year. So when I'm not traveling, I like to spend time with my wife and son. My son actually, cool, quick story. So anyone who knows golf, or knows me, knows I'm big into golf, and my son's getting into golf. So the PGA Championship is in town this week, right down the road. I'm actually taking some clients on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But my son went today with my wife, and anyone who knows golf knows the name Scotty Scheffler.
Mm.
Yep.
My son got his autograph and picture with Scotty today, so he was jacked about that. So I can't wait to see him after work today. My wife sent me the pictures, and I'm like just so happy for him just because he got that. So spending time with my little guy and wife is my son's into sports right now, and I couldn't love it more because that's all I did growing up is play sports. He's got flag football practice tonight that I'm going to go to and baseball games. And I can't really coach during the spring and fall because I travel so much for work, but he has a summer league basketball team that I'm actually coaching. And I'm super excited about that because I don't travel much in the summer, thank gosh. But I'm excited for that. And he's literally telling all his friends, my dad's coaching basketball this summer. So I'm kind of living, being 46 years old with a 47. Gosh, I forgot I'm 47. 47 with a 6 year old. I kind of feel old sometimes, but he's keeping me young and I'm certainly living through him.
I
That's
mean,
awesome.
Mike, I would have expected you to somehow find a way for your son to get you, into some sort of match with Scotty.
He might have, because I swear someday this kid might be president of the United States. He's the friendliest person. I guess he got that from me, but he's not afraid to go up to whether it's a 2 year old and try to talk to him, or we were just in Houston and this older couple was playing bago and he just walked up and played cornhole, bago, whatever you want, started playing with them and they were having a blast. My wife and I just started laughing. So my son is definitely one of those people to go say hi to anybody. So he might have told Scotty that years and years ago, my dad tried to play golf too. So who knows what he told Scotty?
I mean, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree on that one.
Yeah, so no, so that's that's what I live for nowadays. I mean, let's face it, we all work our butts off and travel and have a job to do. But the reason we do that job is because of our family, and it's I love seeing him grow. It's hard to believe he's 6 already. I know you know that. Both of you guys know that with your kids. It happens quick, and I'm trying not to get all consumed with work that all of a sudden he's 15 and I missed 9 years of his life. But I do try to set out some time for my wife and son, and that's what I live for, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
Oh,
Mike
that's
has
great.
about 15, 16 sons. Is always in
Close.
some sort of sport.
That's all. When I see Foppy, it's crazy. I'm like, wait, are you up to kid 11, 12? What number kid are you on now? And what's going on? So it's yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, and the thing is, though, whether you have one kid or seven, eight, nine, however many Foppy has, I mean, they're all consuming, though. I mean, because to your point, you want to spend as much time with them as you can. You want to be there for them as much as you can. Yeah, work gets in the way sometimes, but I mean, at the end of the day, we tell our kids, like, you've got to work so we can do the things that we like doing, whether it's going to play golf or taking vacations or whatever else. That, yeah, I'd love to stay at home with you every single day and, not work if I can, but it's going to be a much different lifestyle than we're leading now.
Exactly. And only having one, it's kind of crazy how busy it can get with one. So I don't feel for you because I know how awesome it is. But, I can only imagine juggling a schedule of 4 kids and mom, you go there, dad, you're here. And
Yeah.
we're busy with one kid. And I'm fortunate that, my wife is amazing with that. So, I get to just show up at the last second as the game's starting and not have to worry about all the logistics behind it. And I love the parents who have a lot of kids and, make it work. I have mad respect for
Yeah.
them because it's hard. I look back at my mom and, owning her own business, and my dad was a teacher, and just 4 kids, like lugging them around. I don't know how they did it, and it gets harder every day to do that.
Yeah. Outside of the Rusty Spur and Scottsdale, what is the your favorite little hole in the wall off-campus bar you've been to in connection with the U.S. Law event?
Funny you bring up the Rusty Spur. That was a good time. I was going to talk more about my favorite location. I'm trying to think. It's all
That's fine too. You can
going to
pivot. Yeah, you don't have
Broadmoor
to answer
last
my
year.
question.
I'm
Yeah.
a big fan of the Broadmoor. Being a golfer, unfortunately, the one course was closed down, but I just found the Broadmoor to be really nice property. Obviously, we're fortunate at US Law. They pick a lot of good properties. I mean, the Ondas was cool, and being an old Scottsdale, I love Phoenix and Scottsdale. That was pretty cool. Oh gosh. Wow, you put me on the spot there. There's so many good places I've been with
Let me
US
let
Law.
me see if I get one in your wheelhouse then. What golf course have you not played that is next up on your bucket list?
Next up on my bucket list. So I won't mention a name, but a US Law member who I love dearly told me a story in Phoenix actually about Hootie Johnson, who was one of his clients who happened to be the chairman for Augusta National for multiple years. Actually said, Mike, if I ever get the invite again to Augusta and I'm allowed to pass it along, you're on that list. And I said, I would be forever indebted to you. And I have a feeling I'll get most of my bucket list golf courses checked off, but that's one that you got to know a lot of people. I know some people, but that's one that'll be a golf course I'll be working my entire life to try to find that connection. So if the person who I'm talking about is listening, if you ever make that happen, I will be forever indebted to you.
Well, Mike, we support your endeavors. We hope you get there. We hope you bring us back a souvenir. But that is all the time we have today. I told you these 30 minutes would fly by.
Fly, fly. Yep.
It's so fun. It's great getting to see you in between events. So everyone, thank you to Mike Funk from American Legal Records, and thank you for tuning in. Please join us next time for another episode of US Law Live, the official podcast of the US Law Network. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.